Hi, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. And I am so grateful to you for coming back, for subscribing, for watching these videos. Again, it's not just about subscription here. It's about humanity, the ability to interchange society. There's a lot involved in a person choosing to use social media. It's about freedom. It's about freedom of expression, etc. So thank you for giving me that ability, because you do not know how many rights in my own society that I lack, and that I try to find avenues in order to get those human rights like every other human. So I thank you for coming back. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And most and foremost, I think I am Myra. He may not be conscious that he has how much he has helped women. He is helping Black women, even though I know he's not doing it on purpose, but he is helping us, and I thank him for it. You know how they say you thank God for the bad, because sometimes the bad is like a really good blessing. I think I am Myra also for developing themes that help me and many other Black women find platform in order for us to be able to create and to talk and to express, because maybe this is the only way we can express ourselves, and he allows us to express ourselves because of the mannerism in which he develops his platform. So I am very thankful to what Modesta and Black Beauty call Oga. Thank you, Oga Myra, because you are like our Oga. You have developed us, whether you like it or not. Okay, you have developed our ability to speak. And I also thank Modesta. She is awesome. So she was like the first employed by Oga Myra, and she helped recruit us. Whereas many of the great YouTubers may not choose little menial us, but I am so grateful that Modesta has shared my video. She made me, who is like a nobody on social media, she made me have a voice, and I am so grateful, Modesta. Thank you. I'm thankful for your humility. You could have said that, you could have chosen to ignore me, but you chose and gave me the opportunity to speak. Thank you. So I am here, and let me start this. Premiere. I guess this video with a poem that I wrote when I was in college. It was, I think, my senior year or something, and I was playing with the idea of colorism, so I wrote it. Before I present to you what I have to say about I Am Marwa, let me read this poem. Red as fire, orange as mangoes, yellow as banana peels, cream as vanilla, white as snow, light as the day, tan as copper, cafe au lait colored, brown as chocolate bars, dark as night, black as tar. My desk is a mess, but anyway, black as tar, blue as indigo, colors of the spectrum, only shades apart. Only shades apart. You will be able to find this poem on Google Books. You will find it in a collection of poetry called My Voice Finally Speaks, by myself and my pen name. I won't tell you my pen name. You don't need it, because you just need my name, and you will be able to find the poem in Google Books if you are interested to read it. This was one of like the first pieces that I wrote on colorism, Shades Apart. And today you will discover that a lot of people actually took that idea. They created a lot of paintings on it. I wrote Shades Apart. I didn't call it Shades Apart. I called it Color Matters, Black Lives Matter comes from Color Matters. But nonetheless, I can't completely claim the title because the title I made up the title Color Matters from when I was growing up. They used to have this sitcom, like when you come from school, you go and you watch it, and it was called Family Matters. So I decided, let me write this poem, and I'm gonna call it Color Matters from Family Matters. And after I published Color Matters officially in 2004, they came out with Black Lives Matter, I think around that time. So anyway, uh colorism. Okay, so I want you to imagine yourself. So because I know a lot of people want to understand how is Myra helping me. Well, imagine yourself a woman, because I'm really looking at it from the woman's point of view, because Mara is showing me the behavior like of a colorist man. So you have to imagine what situation the woman would be. So I'm gonna just give you two scenarios, because I guess each time I might give you one, I might give you two, but I have two scenarios in mind right now. Imagine yourself trying, maybe new college graduate, you are in your mid 20s. You have a job and you're happy with your job, and you want to be always able to tell your parents about it. You're living at home, by the way. You're not married, you're not dating. You're living at home, and you have a job, you have your degree, and you have the potential for more because you're still in your 20s. So you could go back to school, but right now you want to just try out working. And you've always had a social problem, which college seemed to have fixed that social problem. But again, now you're at home, and the social problem may be resurfacing. So you're trying to, so you're a respectable woman, you're not going to go out, you don't go clubbing, you don't do any of those things. But you try to hang out with your family. So imagine yourself maybe at a restaurant. That's just hypothetical. I don't even go to restaurants. But imagine yourself at a restaurant with your female cousins. And that's let's say this maternal. So if you come from a racist community, most of the time the women will be light skinned and the men can be dark skinned. Okay. So your maternal female cousin, so they're lighter skinned because your mother comes from a lighter skin background, right? And while you're eating, you're having fun, you're like, oh, I could click with my cousins. All of a sudden, a man comes over and turns his back on you so that you don't see his face, and he starts talking to your female cousin. And the way he's turning his back on you, because he wants you out of the conversation, he starts praising her. Now she has a choice. She can tell him to go away, you creep, because you are being rude to my cousin, or she can accept his behavior because he just like inserted himself within your immediate social environment, to destroy how you're feeling, or your community, to destroy you within the community, to remove you from the community, to estrange you and exclude you. And so now what can you say? What can you do? Especially if that female cousin starts talking to him and giving him the attention that he desired, and also giving him the ability to execute his intent to put you down. And imagine if that happens not only once, but it happens over and over again, until you either have to choose to either alienate yourself from your cousins because this keeps happening, and therefore they're accepting this triangular exclusion, because you become like it's like A and B conversation, see your way out. You become C, who have to see your way out. And it happens over and over again. And this always happens when you are around light-skinned relatives, okay, who are the same gender as you. What would you do? Who do you talk to? Say nobody wants to listen, because they're like, if the females are of lighter color, I mean, they might call you jealous. Imagine if they even start having relationships with these men. So these men become part of the family. So since they already excluded you from that first encounter, they are going to continue to exclude you. Where do you go? Imagine being in your own mother's house and coming home from work, where you used to go and talk to your mother, and now you can no longer talk to her because, let's say, a relative of her who happened to be female, who may not even have the education or even a job for that matter, happens to be bringing men every day to the living room. You don't even feel comfortable to come to the living room because these men are not your friends, they're not relatives, and it's all about pursuing her, right? The lighter skinned. And you have to make your way to your room, and this is your mother's house. How do you feel? What do you do? Imagine if your mother even joined them in the conversation, welcoming them. Do you know what your mother would say if you were to say, "Mom, why are you doing this?" They're gonna call you jealous. And imagine if they do, what do you do? Instead of saying this is unjust, why are you behaving like this? What if you never had what if you were not allowed to even bring men to the house because you know that it's wrong, but this person is bringing three different men every day, and it's okay. And imagine when somebody were to come and say, why are you behaving like a prostitute to that person, and you would think, wow, this person is helping me, and then they turn around and say, oh no, she's not behaving like a prostitute, these are her friends. And yet they come to pursue her, and it's not even the same man every day. Maybe if it was the same man, he could be part of your family eventually. Maybe, he's going to be a relative, but different ones excluding you because your skin color is darker and your hair is coarser. So imagine that. Now I want to give you the last scenario. Imagine going to church because you're like, you know what? I'm not liked by this community, but at least let me search for God. Let me go to church. And you go and sit in the church, and then the pastor starts preaching, saying that you didn't come here for church, you came to look for a man. Okay, because you're young and you're at marriage age. I mean, you're in your 20s, you're a female, and imagine the pastor. Imagine having left your mother's house, say, after all these men did that to you, and then they married off the girl, right? To give her honor. So now you remain scarred as if you were the one bringing in all the different men, whereas you were at work all the time and they were bringing those men right after you came from work. Now imagine this. Imagine that you go to a church, and after you have left that house, you're now living by yourself, you're in exclusion. And perhaps maybe you went on TV and told and was trying to tell your story, but of course nobody would understand because this is a racist culture. They do not understand you, right? So now imagine if a pastor was hearing it and you go to that pastor's church, and then he starts saying the reason you say that you were like a, and then he sees you, he knows your profession, he identifies you. Like say you were a teacher. He says there's a big teacher in the house. And then he starts preaching and say there was a teacher who was a prostitute, who was, because of her prostitution, they put her in jail, where she was by herself. She didn't have anybody. No man wanted her because she was a prostitute. Imagine you were a virgin, and they were saying that, and then the sermon just happened to come that way. It never, it wasn't, in other words, if the shoe fits, wear it, right? And then imagine this. Imagine in this very church, the pastor starts talking about what a virtuous woman is, how they are married and they have children and they have husbands and good careers. You have a career, men just don't like you, right? And then imagine that pastor starts calling on the women he was praising to come out, to come on the stage as the virtuous wives of his young men in his church. And they're all light skinned. They all have that long hair. Imagine that. What do you do? Imagine going to the pastor to tell him, to challenge him, why is he being racist? And he tells you he's not. Imagine that. Imagine even like people calling you on the phone to hang up the phone on you, people asking you for help because they are using emotional appeal of your desire to help others so that they can get to you to hang up the phone on you. Where if you were to ever ask a question that related to you, they would hang up. They only wanted to use you because they know you're by yourself and that you don't have anybody to talk to. Where do you go? Imagine going from aunt to aunt, explaining to them your problem and not having anybody. Well, this is where Marwa helps me. Because when you cannot retell your story, when you suddenly see the story happening on, say, a screen, YouTube, then you could say, that's my story. That's what I couldn't tell. That's what they would have called me jealous for, but I couldn't develop the idea. The time was never right. So let's make the time right. So Myra gave us the time to make it right. He has his stories, his depicting colorism right there permanently, at least for a longer period of time than our life experiences. Our life experiences are like flash. They just come and they go. If the society does not let you talk, you cannot. If there is nobody to talk, who is to hear you? You will die of the harsh and injustice of the society without ever having had someone to listen. So, this is why I say that Myra can help us, Black women, free ourselves from those life experiences that we cannot capture on camera. He is capturing them for us. So I am grateful for him for being a colorist, because if he were not a colorist, I would not be able to sit here today and talk and say, oh my God, look at what Myra is doing. That happened to me. This is exactly what I was saying that was unjust, or what I couldn't say that was unjust. And I used to talk about colorism, because I said that I always say that rediscovered colorism, but then somebody, others who had the social power took it and claimed it as theirs. But that's the thing. Either I invest time that I didn't have to write it and to write it right, because then even if I did, everybody kept on saying that they didn't understand. They didn't understand. All right. In my Haitian community, the people are very intelligent and most of them are educated, but they claim not to be educated whenever it comes to something that they do not want to acknowledge, that they want to deny. There are many things that are pushed under the carpets in cultures, okay, so that they can continue practicing certain systems, such as slave systems, enslaving the dark skins for the light skins. Okay, I used to have a Kenyan roommate. She used to tell me that in Kenya, at least during our time, I used that they used to call like mixed bloods point fives. I guess maybe that was just her own community. I don't remember where she told me she was from. I mean, I didn't know much about geography to remember, but she used to say that they used to call mixed bloods point fives. So that was when I was trying to figure. I didn't know that there was like so much colorism in Africa at the time. I was into American colorism, but of course, as I became an adult, I became aware of it, and Myra depicts it, and I'm grateful that he does depict it. So let me see if I can show you a video of the hypocrisy of colorism that I'm talking about. Okay, so let me see if I hope that you guys don't have to see this. So I'm starting out with Martin Luther King, with his I Have a Dream. And the thing is, this is about Black America fighting against white racism. And particularly during the time of Martin Luther King, it was the civil rights movement where there was a lot of harshness against us Blacks. So it was racism doing Martin Luther King. But at the same time, there was still hypocrisy of colorism. I mean, Martin Luther King himself, yeah, I guess it might have been love when he met Claretta, but it's not like his wife was a dark-skinned woman, I mean, really.
5 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
So here he's talking about President Lincoln.
As a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later,
Okay, so that was Martin Luther King talking about how the president who was assassinated, Abraham Lincoln, during the civil war in 1863, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And Emancipation Proclamation is a document that was written by President Lincoln that freed the black slaves, that freed the slaves. And he did that. Many blacks do argue that he did it because it was helpful for him. He needed to win because they were fighting against the Confederate States. He was up there in Washington D.C. And the slaves were down in the South, south of the Mississippi, and in places like Florida, which were Confederate states. So the Confederate states needed the slaves because we were providing free labor for them, so that they can use cotton and other farming in order to become rich. So the blacks were making the whites rich by working for them and being forced to work for them. It was against their will. So the Emancipation Proclamation announced by the president, all Negroes, all blacks are free. And the nice thing about the Emancipation Proclamation is he like chanted in every single state. He chanted like the places where they would be free, because these were the places that were practicing slavery. And then he promised them that the United States president would protect them so that the slave masters could not come back to them. And there was a lot of things going on, why they would say that, because you had people also fighting against slavery. So it wasn't just like the president who wrote the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the slaves. There was already what was called the abolitionist movement going on. So, so that was one of the factors of the Civil War. When it comes to politics, there are many things that go into the political campaign. And one of the factors was abolitionism. So he went and gave victory to the abolitionists. And among the abolitionists were black slaves who became free somehow. There was Harriet Tubman, and this is why I say Modesta is my Harriet Tubman, because I know where I'm coming from, because I'm coming from a different slave system. Because it's not just whites who enslaved, because blacks enslaved. And I think I made it over clear, in Haiti, blacks enslave blacks, and particularly, the lighter the black, the more they have the feeling that they are superior to us darker blacks, and promote enslavement of the darker ones and the destruction of the darker people. So there were the abolitionists. There was Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman created some kind of like underground railroad where she was helping the slaves cross the border from the Confederate States into the Union States, and in the Union States they would be free. There was also Frederick Douglass, an orator who actually spoke in many abolitionist campaigns. But the problem with Frederick Douglass is that he ended up marrying a white woman, which again, you see the colorism right there. But then again, the African American will argue also that he was mixed blood, because there was the idea that the slave masters used to rape the black women and then create those 0.5 babies, those mulatto or mixed blood 0.5 babies. And those 0.5 babies in the United States, if you're a 0.5 baby, particularly in those times, you're considered as black. And this is why a lot of times we have colorism very strongly in the United States. But, historically, the blacks used to be more united than they are today. Even in television, if you look at some of the older American videos or movies or sitcoms, they used to have more black women as the mother figures in the families. But then what happened was that sometime in the 90s, it changed, where certain black men started hiring and putting on pedestals the light-skinned women, and everything changed over, where we started having the behavior of it was just light-skinned. Now, with the fight against colorism, we are starting to see that they are go, like even the magazines, like, where they even didn't have blacks at all, like Vogue magazine, okay, they are going all the way to South Sudan. They're going to Sudan to get models, okay, so that they could have the dark skinned models. They also have dark skinned black actresses that didn't always exist. I can also tell you, it is so disgusting in the United States, the colorism. Back in the 2005s, I started having problems at work where I work among like Spanish people, and the Spanish women, they would flaunt their long hair, which I didn't have. And, they had all that, it's funny because it touches your spirit, it's like spirit grabbing or something. Like, you don't have that, and you don't even have like the husband or whatever. So they would flaunt their hair like, they had the power and the men and the families and the dignity and all that. And I didn't know where to go. Like, where do I go for my identity? I ended up looking at I started watching Nigerian movies, and I didn't really like the Nigerian movies at the time because I mean, like, that's not for young people. That was for people like my mother's age. But I started watching it because that was the only place where I found my identity. And people like Genevieve Naji and other dark-skinned black women, that they actually were giving opportunities in the media in Nigeria, in Nollywood. So that really, 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 really helped me out a lot. So now one of the things that I'm finding very helpful in the social media is that the story that I lived in my 20s that I couldn't tell, I'm able to say, that's it. You see that Myra there? Exactly what he's doing. That's what they did to me. And that's how they destroy us. They make it impossible. That's how they castrate dark-skinned women like that, because you don't have a lot of choice. You can either become a baby mama, which if you don't like the name, you will become single. I mean, it's like you don't have a name that you prefer, like, because most women biologically, we are created in order to have babies, like, to be that center of the family. Our entire body revolves around it, that's part of the life cycle of a woman. So they castrate women who are dark skinned. Either you accept failure through marriage, because they will give you like maybe what the light-skinned women don't want. Even if you may be educated, they don't want to give you somebody who's educated or somebody who's ambitious about school. They want somebody who's going to remove you from school. All right. And if they cannot give you somebody who's so old, like, they could be your father. All right. So if you don't want that, if you want somebody your generation who's going to grow old with you and just live a life like a middle class Black woman, you're not gonna find that easy. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. It exists. But for many women, dark-skinned women here in the United States or in Haiti, who are educated. Well, I don't know about Haiti, if they grew up in Haiti, because I grew up in the United States. But if you are educated and you have a love for your culture, you want to keep your culture, they're going to destroy you. For me, they bought a man from the Dominican Republic who liked Spanish, I guess, Dominican women who scorned people like me, and they used that man so that they could take whatever good that I had within me as my identity, to give that identity to the light-skinned Dominican women. So that's how they did it. So let me show you Myra. I think in this video that I'm about to show you, he was chasing like a Dominican woman, and they stopped him, and I need you to see the hypocrisy in Myra, because you have this experience and you still chase after their women to give them the power and the spirit of the dark-skinned woman. Here is Myra.
Bleeding. This guy's beating me for no reason, man. Look, this guy's beating me for no reason. He's beating me for no. Look, man. Look, I'm bleeding for no reason. Man, I'm gonna sue you. I swear I'm gonna sue you. You don't even know who I am. Man, look, I'm bleeding, man.
So guys, let me explain. So
I've seen actually many people attack you on the internet.
Okay, so now, while right here, that Myra just expressed this was his experience in the Dominican Republic, he still shamelessly, okay, he shamelessly goes and is talking about the African women who are pointing out his flaws instead of changing or saying, you know what, look at what I just experienced. This is what he is doing with D. There you go. They are not marriage material. So they're gonna tell you, well, that they said that they're not marriage material because they're only talking about negativity. So of course they're not focusing on what the women are saying. They're just using a stereotype. The stereotype is that the dark-skinned or the black woman is loud, negative. The black woman never has anything to say because you see the Spanish and the mixed and the light skin and the white women, you know, everything they say is like, oh, this is so proper. That's marriage material. But the black woman, if she speaks, she needs to shut up. All right, she is not marriage material. This is Myra. So the black woman is not marriage material, yet it was okay for him to chase after a Dominican woman and get beaten by their savage animal men, and yet he is putting his women down, his African women. All right, let's see. Here's his marriage material. Asian woman. That's his marriage material. The Asian girl is the one that he takes to his mama. So now, this happens all the time with the colorism. Like, imagine a man going to your mother, even with his mother, with his own relatives, expressing like for you. And you know these people don't like you because you've already experienced the colorism. You're like, these people don't like women my color. They do not like women. Oh, by the way, when you say that they don't like your color, you know what they do. There are several things that they do. And I don't know if maybe I've seen Marwa do it, but but you can find it on your own if I just explain to you what they do. They do exactly what the white people do, and then they say it's just the white people. They will find a dark-skinned woman who is willing or has the perspective of destruction for you, and they will put her on a pedestal. Hey, I like her. But of course, it's not like they're going to marry that woman, but they're going to use that woman as an example of a dark-skinned woman that they like. I had this scenario where a man did that to me, for example. And when I was, because the man, he shut me off so that I would not be able to ever show his racism. So what he ended up doing, I guess maybe he heard somewhere that I was spreading news, like, because I write, so I'm going to write about it. So I don't know if he heard, I don't know how, so he decides that while he's married to a Dominican woman, he is going to date a dark-skinned black woman to show to people that he does not dislike us, that he can date us. But that's the irony of it. He was making her his prostitute. Okay, and this was a younger girl, like, very young. The girl was maybe 7 years or 8 years his junior, that he was doing this to. He was turning, and, she was younger than his Dominican wife. So he was turning the Haitian black girl, who did not yet have experience in men, into his prostitute for him to honor his light-skinned Dominican woman, and in that way they wouldn't be able to say that he did not like black women. So me, who was I was at the time trying to show that this man is racist because I wasn't able to say that. I found the pictures of both, and one of the things he was doing, and this man was living like many lives, like he was living a life in the Dominican Republic and then a life here of destroying the black women who were trying to be successful for themselves. So in the Dominican Republic, everybody knows his Dominican wife, and they're friends and family, you see, because this is where they give the honor. And this girl here, obviously her knowledge was limited. And me, I was the outcast. I was a social outcast who he already like spiritually and socially destroyed, because when you come in my family and you sever me from my family, you are socially destroying me. So that he already successfully removed me from my family, so that I couldn't be anything, because when you're not around your people, right, it becomes harder to achieve. So then he now went to this girl, and he was trying to do the same with her. So you could see how he would be talking to his Dominican woman, and he would be ignoring her, well, like, whatever silly things, because she was super young. I don't even think she was 20 yet. So whatever little things she would post, he would completely ignore her, and and this girl is probably thinking, does this guy like me, does he not, and things like that. And he's with his Dominican honorable wife. And the thing is, these Dominican women were allowing this guy to put us down because they don't like us. We are dark-skinned black women. We are beneath them. We are beneath them socially, and therefore they can make us beneath them economically, spiritually, and everything. In fact, that Dominican woman came and claimed the church that I used to go to as hers, because this guy had asked me to go to the movies. I don't go to movies, so I brought him to a church. So he came here and he made her like head of the church, so that I would no longer have a church to go to. Things like that. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I wasn't even welcomed in the church anyway because of my dark skin, because the churches here are very racist in Florida. So, so these are like little aspects that I can point out of, like, if you remember how Marwa was trying to take power away from Modesta, and then at the same time he was offering Vanessa to help her with a YouTube channel. Same scenario. So I'm just pointing these things out for you to see how Marwa is helping free us black women who could not talk about the specific instances that were destroying us. There were, I still have my jobs, and I still am able to study, but I can't study that much. I can't study as much as I would be able to study if I had people who are academically inclined like me to study. Because sometimes I just don't, like right now I'm supposed to be studying because I have to take another board for one of my jobs, right? And I'm not studying. I prefer to be making YouTube videos because it is socially healing, right? Whereas if I had everything in place, I would have the people, study partners, study groups, etc. It would be socially healthy. But I am not living in a socially healthy environment because I live in a colorist environment. So let's continue listening to our boy here. I am Myra. I'm sorry, I have papers all over the place. I'm supposed to be studying, like I said.
I see the doctor, man, because actually when I'm talking, one of my ears is blocked. I feel like it's blocked, actually.
It's so old women, yes, to be in particular, yes, can't just generalize.
And mostly it's the ladies.
Yeah, ladies.
And he still goes and puts the black women down.
So bad, I feel even I cannot be close to her. Even
he can be close to her.
She can poison me or something.
Listen,
honestly, like she looks so
that's
weird.
exactly how they treat us. We are like witches. We look. In the meantime, the Indian girl with the long hair. I'm sorry, I have to read that.
So bad, I feel even I cannot be close to her, even her drink. I feel like she can poison.
She looks so bad, right?
Honestly, like she looks so weird. And
but Priya, pretty girl.
So let's a good guy.
Myra, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, Myra.
So this is our motorbike.
Now watch Priya. The hair, what they like.
I don't know how you call it.
That's what they like, guys. That's what the guys like.
It's lost.
The hair of the European-based women. They don't like our cause hair.
Otherwise, you're gonna have look what's happening here in India. Put your stuff.
Okay, so you saw some of these things. You notice how he's not really saying it. And Myra, this is why sometimes I think maybe he's doing it on purpose, because you can see he's not too happy about her fixing her hair. But at the same time, these are what those men like, those men who put us down. Now watch as he couldn't get close to the African women, but watch about Myra.
No, I'm not happy about that. I am sitting
He's so-
saying that, and you're making it a big deal. If you're not, and you leave the key to the bike, they can't
He okay.
To be in particular, we can't just generalize
And
and
mostly
say,
it's the ladies. I
yeah,
don't know what's the
ladies,
problem
like,
with them.
it's crazy, you know.
Like the other one looks so bad. I feel even I cannot be close to her, even her drink. I feel like she can poison me or something.
Yet he wants to. He's so close to Priya.
One second, Marwa. 1 second. I'm taking your video. Don't be so impatient.
You see how he can converse with her. He can talk to her, but with the black African women, he couldn't even talk to them. So much so, he indirectly helps us by sending people who are promoting his colorism to come after us. Remember the scenario I gave you, the guy who would give me his back so he can talk to the lighter skinned girl who was the married, they just look at you and they already classify whether or not you are marriage material based on your physical appearance. All right, because as soon as you are dark skinned, you automatically are ugly, disgusting. You could poison them. They scorn you. You're not supposed to be talking. You're an animal. All of these things. And the thing is, you have to say it. If you don't say exactly what they think of you, then they are going to continue it, okay? And they're going to continue their silent discrimination. So you have to speak what they say. And this is, again, when he's upset at Priya, okay? Now, this is Haitians migrating to Haiti so that they could leave behind the terrible state that they're in and be better than those who are in Haiti. And the humiliation that comes with it. It's sort of like Myra, who is leaving Africa, chasing after those European type women, and the humiliation that he doesn't even see that he is creating. Okay, so I want now to show you Haitian people how racist. Papa Doc, light-skinned woman. Baby Doc, mulatto woman. Baby Doc. She was married, by the way, with a child. Not even not no pure woman. President of Haiti. Light-skinned, mulatto. Look at them, whites in a black country. 98% black. Even our priest, Titid, Aristide, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, mulatto. Here's Aristide. Rene Pueval divorced his black woman to marry a mulatto woman on his second term. The black one didn't deserve to be first lady. Michel Martelly already married to his Colombian wife. And then came Hope, maybe. Jovenel Moïse, the only black man in my entire life to be married to a dark-skinned woman. But can Haitians stand him? Can they stand this dark woman? They put her down, they put down her daughter, and they killed the man. The only president killed in 100 years in Haiti was married to a dark-skinned woman. This is the reality of colorism. we cannot really show it because even with the death of and the assassination of Jovenel Moise, okay, nobody is talking about the fact that his wife was a dark-skinned woman and the only dark-skinned first lady to stay in office because he did not betray her, so he died. I can't say he died specifically for her because they will tell you everything. But this was a big one because when she came as first lady, they put that woman down so much and they never said it was because of her color. I have footage of young girls destroying a dark skinned girl who was like the first dark skinned girl in my hometown of Port-de-Paix, and they have this like little pageant called Immaculée, and this she was the first dark skinned girl to ever win the pageant. So then the light skinned girl said, "Who are you? What do you think you are? Look at you." Look at you like an animal, like a monkey. They started putting her down because her skin color was dark, you know, and her picture. And I have it. I posted on Facebook because that was a few years later. I'm sorry, a few years ago. And then a few years later, at the assassination of Jovenel Moise, they came and attacked his daughter because his daughter has the natural hair. She doesn't perm. Oh my God. Even imagine a past. Okay, no more imagine. Let's just finish about. We're gonna close on Jovenel Moise's daughter. That when she went to her father's funeral, I had like a laundry list of women, girls, everybody putting her down for not perming her hair, calling her ugly, saying, how could this black woman, well, they didn't use black because, of course, they're never going to use that. Okay, but how could she be the first daughter? How could she be a president's daughter in their country? How disgusting. And that's the same way that they did to the mother. Oh, this is our new mother now. For the young girls, they discuss us. It's like they're supposed to be light skins only in power as women in Haiti. We are nothing. And I and Myra showed you what the men do to destroy us and to give to women who are not even our race, not even our nationality. And then they give them our spirit. And then they bring us into their country and give them our identity. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, I am Myra, for setting the platform. Thank you, Modesta, for giving me a voice. God bless you. Bye-bye, guys.